What's going on, guys? This is Chandler Smith, and today I'm going to be talking about the craziest, most wild, scary deal that I've ever done. I'm going to talk with you about how I'm about to buy a 32-unit complex for $2.1 million. And the day that I take ownership, here in about 25 days, I'm going to be in a situation where I have negative cash flow. That means after spending $2.1 million, I'm gonna be in a situation where every single month I own this property, I am losing money. And I'm gonna explain why in this video. So with that being said, let's jump into it. I don't think I've ever shared the details of a property that I'm about to close on. I don't usually like jinxing the deal or having the risk that someone else is going to jump in and try and swoop it. However, I wanted to put this deal out there because it is so terrifying. And it's something that I feel like if I'm able to pull it off and it doesn't blow up in my face, it's gonna be awesome to be able to say, wow, this was the video Chandler filmed before he purchased this $2 million property and totally flipped it around to where it turned into a cash cow. And so that's a big reason I wanna do this video is I'm gonna show you a property that I think most investors would look at and say, Chandler, I'm not gonna touch that with a 10-foot pole because it literally is negative cash flow. The second you buy it, you're gonna be locking up all this money and you're gonna be losing money every single month. And so I'm gonna talk with you about why I think this property is a good deal, how I got comfortable enough to get it under contract, go through the inspection, and now get to a point where I 100% am planning on closing on it in 25 days so that you guys can understand how I analyze the numbers. Because on a lot of the other deals I've done, I've shown you after the fact how well they're doing. And I think it's easy to say, oh, Chandler, you got so lucky with that deal. You just landed on something that was lucky. Deals like that never happen. But this deal right now, I promise, if I put it in front of most people, they would say, you know what, Chandler, I'm not touching that. And so if I can show you why I thought this was a good deal, how I'm going to add value, and now a couple months down the road do another video that shows that I was right, or hopefully not wrong, then we can go and see where I started on this deal and how I got to where I'm at. So with all of that being said, this is a 32-unit complex. I have them down to agree to sell it for $2.1 million. Now, if you're watching in California, you're saying, Chandler, that must be a good deal, or it must be total trash because that sounds insane. I would pay $2.1 million for a duplex, let alone a 32-plex. But here's the thing that's interesting about this 32-plex. Every one of the 32 units has rents that are either $500 per unit or less. What that means, and I'm gonna pull up my computer here, is with those rents, best case scenario, on their best month, they're bringing in $16,000 a month. So when I plug in my expenses, my maintenance, my insurance, my taxes, all of that stuff, including my management and my loan payment with the loan that I'm gonna be able to pull, it turns out to where I'm losing $238 every single month. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, oh, it's $238, that's not a big deal. But when you're locking up this kind of money in a property, it is a big deal. As a matter of fact, the bank that I use here in Idaho, I brought this deal to them and they said, Chandler, we can't loan on this. We're in a situation where we only loan if you can cover the debt, and you're not even able to cover the debt with the rents that are coming in. So I had to go back and forth with them and say, look, you've got a loan on it because this is what I believe that I can get rents to. And they said, Chandler, your projections look crazy. I mean, how can we trust you to loan on this? And just so you know, I think a lot of you are saying, wow, you had this whole conversation with the bank. And the reality is, yes, I did. And that's why I use credit unions, local credit unions that you can build a relationship with, that they get to know you. And so that deals like this, you can get them to the point where they'll trust you. And so what I did is I said, look, what do I need to do to get you guys to be willing to loan on this property? And they said, well, you've got to prove that you can get the rents up, because in my projections on this property that I'm buying where rents are only at $500 a unit, I believe that within a couple months, I can get all of the rents that are going month to month right now up to at least $750 and hopefully $800 per unit. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, Chandler, that's like a $300 rent increase. That's insane. That's over a 50% increase in rents. And I'm telling you, yes, I know. And that's why this deal is absolutely crazy. And so I was able to go to the bank. I was able to prove to them from some of my other properties that this area truly can support rents that high for the kind of unit that I'm renting. And I'm now in a situation where the loan is ready to go through. I've got this property under contract, and I'm about to buy a property that is going to have negative cash flow as of month 1. So that's the situation with this 32 plex, and I want to explain to you why I think it's going to be a good deal. So now that I've told you all that information and you know I'm about to buy a property that's going to have negative cash flow, let me tell you how I found the deal and how I know it's going to work. And hopefully I'm not jinxing myself, and a couple months from now I can come back and say, hey, it worked. But the way that I found it is every realtor that I talk to, every wholesaler, every real estate investor, I tell them, look, I'm in a situation where I am looking to purchase real estate. I own 71 units of real estate, which hopefully after this next month when we close, I'm going to be able to say over 100 units of real estate. The way that I found this deal is the way that I find a lot of my deals. It's because I put everything that I do on social media. I'm always putting stuff out on Instagram saying, look, I'm a real estate investor. I bought properties. I'm looking for more properties. I put stuff on this YouTube channel saying, look, I want to find more property. If the numbers work, I'm willing to buy it. Every investor in town that I can talk with, every realtor, every wholesaler, anyone that has anything to do with real estate, or even if they don't, I'm consistently talking about it and telling people about what I do and about my passion for investing in real estate. And because of that, I actually had a family friend that I hadn't talked to in a long time. But I saw him about 6 months ago and I said, look, I know you're still a realtor. I am always looking for properties. And so if you find something that meets these requirements, please bring it to me. I promise you, I'll be a reliable buyer and I'm willing to jump on it. And so we kind of stayed in touch. Once or twice a month, we'd connect. And it got to this point where he had an older couple that was selling a property that he said, look, they're finally ready to sell. And I want to introduce you to them first. I want to give you the first swing at this property off market. So we went, we put the deal together, and that's how I was able to find it and put it together. And what's so cool about it is this older couple, they've left their rents at the same place for years. I mean, some of these leases were signed 14 years ago, and they've had the same tenants forever at these super low rents. And what was so neat about the situation is when they said, hey, here's what we want to sell it for, here's what the units are, here's what they're at. If I didn't know that these 2-bedroom apartments could be rented for substantially more, I would have passed on the deal because the numbers did not look good. And this property was their baby. So they were wanting to sell it for way more than it should have sold for based on what their rents were. And that's why it's a unique situation, because the sellers have gotten an incredible deal because of where their rents were at. And they haven't done anything to improve the property or to get the rents to where they need to be. And so they're excited about the deal because they're getting more than what they probably should get based on what the rents are at. But for me, I'm super excited because I truly believe I can increase rents to where this deal is going to be an incredible deal for me as well. And so it's turned out to just be this awesome deal where both parties are excited. However, the only person that wasn't excited was the people that I'm getting a loan from, because the numbers look so crappy for a property that you're going to loan on. So luckily I was able to work through that. I was able to talk them into giving us a loan on this property, and that's how we got into it. Now, I know the big question a lot of you are asking is, Chandler, how are you so confident that you're going to be able to increase these rents $250 to $300 above what they're currently at? And I would tell you that this is probably the most important skill set you need to have as an investor, and that is that you need to know your market. Anyone can go in and say, oh,
rents are at 500, I'll just raise them to 1,000 and that will be a good deal.
But if you go and you kick out the people that are at 500, or I guess you tell them you're going to raise rents and they leave, and you can't fill it at 1,000, and 1,000 is where you need rents to be, then you're going to be in big trouble. And that's why it is so important in a deal like this one that I'm doing that you make sure that you know what the market supports. For me to be able to purchase this deal, I had to be 100% sure that I knew the market and I knew that I could go in, and if every tenant in there decided to leave, that I would be able to fill all of those at the rents that I need. And on top of that, I needed to know the way to be able to raise rents on the current tenants to keep them there. Because if you have a mass exodus, even if the market can support the higher rents, you're still going to deal with a lot of vacancy. And so I needed to have the confidence that I could go in, know what the market would support, and know how to handle the situation to be able to get the rents up to where they need to be. Now, with this video, I've thrown a ton of information at you, but I really wanted to do it because with all of my other deals, this has been the niche that I kind of hone in on. So just to give you a little perspective before I wrap up this video, the cash on cash return on this property when I purchase it will be negative 0.05%. That means I'll be losing every single month. But with where I think I can get rents in the next 6 months, which I believe that I can get rents up to a minimum of $775 on average between all 32 units, that is going to jump my cash on cash return on this property up to a 16.64% cash on cash return. That means if I've got my numbers right and we can get rents increased the way that I think we can to fair market value. Again, I can't raise them above what is fair. I need to raise them to what the market supports, which I truly believe is going to be $775. That means my cash flow every year is going to be over $80,000. That means if we can pull this off, I'm going to take a property that is making negative $200 per month and turn it into a cash cow that will be making me over $80,000 a year just in cash flow. And on top of that, by increasing it that much, this property I should be able to turn around and sell if I chose to for somewhere between $600,000 and even $800,000 more than I bought it, and potentially even close to $1 million here within a year or two, where I have every single unit up to 800 plus. Now, I don't do this video to brag about this deal or to brag about my situation in investing in real estate. I do it because I promise you a lot of investors would have passed on this deal because they don't completely understand our market. They don't know how to raise rents. They don't know how to go in and add value to a property. And I'm really hoping this video helps you to see what's possible in investing in real estate if you niche in on finding some of these older properties that need to have rent increases to market value so that you can go in and find those incredible deals and put yourself in a situation where you can create a huge passive income for yourself. Now, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to push the like button, subscribe to the channel, because if I'm wrong on this deal, and I'll let you know 2-3 months from now, and it's going to be terrible, and so I'm gonna need the likes and the comments to start making money from YouTube because I'll be in a real bad place, but I'm really confident that I know my numbers and we're gonna see what happens with this property. And I'll keep you posted the next couple months on what happens with this deal. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.